Welcome to On Track. I'm Aisha Jaffer. Arbor Day is just around the corner, a day to celebrate the importance of trees that give us shade, cleaner air, and healthier communities. But a city-commissioned report a decade ago found that Louisville's tree canopy had been shrinking. So what's been done since the discovery to help reverse the trend, and what can we do to support our tree ecosystem? We'll be getting to the root of these questions with Morgan Grubbs, the program's Director of TreesLouisville, a nonprofit dedicated to preserving and expanding local and regional tree canopy through civic engagement, education, and public awareness. Morgan is an ISA-certified arborist and an expert in tree health and urban forestry. TreesLouisville is an underwriter of Louisville Public Media. Morgan, thanks for being here on Track.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me today.
So before we get into it, when we're talking about urban tree canopy, what does that exactly mean?
Urban tree canopy basically means any trees that you find within a city limits. So that could be trees growing on the street, in a park, in your home, and then just understanding the benefits that they provide our city.
When we're talking about those key findings of the City Commission report back a decade ago on Louisville's shrinking tree canopy, what were those findings? What did they find?
So they found that Louisville was losing over 50,000 trees per year.
Wow.
Due to weather, the emerald ash borer, people cutting down large trees and not replacing them. 50,000 is about 820 acres, so that's double the size of Cherokee Park per year of canopy loss. And so we were also finding that there wasn't any sort of dedicated organization or group effort to really replenish the canopy. And so that's one reason that our organization started.
That's what I was curious about. Is that the origin story of TreesLouisville?
Yes, that is. So that commission, they started researching to see what other cities were doing and found that a lot of major cities have nonprofits like TreesLouisville dedicated to growing canopy solely. So that's how we came about.
Is there anything that you saw from those cities that you kind of took those formulas and brought them here to address this issue?
Yeah, there's a lot of, as a nonprofit, you can get more into the private land aspects. So Parks and Rec and urban forestry, they can only plant on the street or in parks. And we found that 70% of all plantable space in Jefferson County is on privately owned land. So by having a nonprofit entity, we can enter into those spaces where a city might not have that same ability.
So what efforts were and are being made to reverse the declining tree canopy in Louisville?
We have a lot of programs. One big thing is we planted JCPS campuses. So they own about 10% of all land in Jefferson County. So we can go in and plant 100 to 200 trees. We also offer tree rebates. If you purchase your own tree, you can mail us a receipt and we'll give you cash back. We do tree giveaways and then just working with other community groups to plant at churches, businesses, residential homes, etc.
Is there any program that's a favorite of yours?
I love my volunteer program, the Canopy Corps. They are trained volunteers, and then they get to come and help plant it anywhere. But I also really love the JCPS campus program. It's really fun. We're planting. You have kids that want to see what's going on. They're discovering worms. They love the trees. They want to name the trees, so it's really fun to have that buy-in with them and see their excitement levels.
Are they planting the trees too and then bringing worms home?
No. Sometimes we do tree plantings with students, but, schools are so large and we only have so many trees. We try and focus more with like an environmental club. Nice. And do work with them.
I love that. I have memories in my own mind of like taking a tree home, planting it on the front yard and
yes.
having that responsibility, which I really love. Well, you talked about the tree rebate program. Can you talk about that a little bit more? Because I think that's quite a unique program where people might not know too much about it.
Sure, yeah. If you're a Jefferson County resident, we have online, you can find the brochure. We have also sent the brochures to a lot of our local nurseries around town. If you purchase a tree, there are specific species that you must choose from, but we offer small, medium, and large size trees. You purchase it, you keep your receipt, and then you just mail us or submit the receipt online. And based on the size of your tree, so if it's a bigger tree like an oak, we'll send you more money. But if it's a smaller tree like a redbud, you still get money back, but not as much.
Are these like native trees to the ecosystem?
Yes, yes. So a lot of oaks, sycamores, redbuds, black gums, yellowwoods. We try and stick mainly native, but we do throw in a few hardy non-natives just in case they have a difficult site that they need to plant at.
So does like an oak have more effect on climate and more benefits?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So we say the bigger the tree, the bigger the benefits. When we say the word canopy, we're basically talking about how wide a tree spreads and how tall it gets. So you can imagine a 50-year-old oak that's 80 feet tall has a much bigger spread. It's shading more. It's absorbing more pollution. It's, filtering, slowing water flow a lot more than, say, a 20-foot dogwood.
Right. So there's all these different programs that are contributing to helping, get this canopy back. What is the ideal amount of tree canopy coverage in the city of Louisville, and how close are we to that goal?
So it's hard to say overall how much it should be because you have to think we have industrialized areas. We have some homes that are really close together and then others more spread. In the urban forestry world, nationally and globally, they say about 30% canopy per neighborhood is ideal. But again, you just have to go to that community and find out what they want. But the idea is that your streets are walkable. You are able to see trees from your yard. You're close to park spaces. That's kind of the main goal of building an urban canopy.
So how close are we to that goal?
So we are 39% canopy coverage Jefferson County wide, but that also includes Jefferson Memorial Forest and the parklands. And so then if we break it down by neighborhood, we have some neighborhoods as low as 11% canopy, 18% canopy. And again, we want to see that closer to 30. So we are making strides. We have seen our canopy improve in the last 10 years by 1%. But again, it's just making sure that it's in those areas of high need,
right?
That we should be focusing more of our efforts.
So are there certain areas or communities in the city that are more vulnerable to tree loss? And what does it mean for the people who live there?
Definitely, so tree loss can happen in two different ways. Obviously, development plays a big role. So we are seeing, parts on the outskirts of Jefferson County that might be losing canopy more rapidly. But then from years and decades of disinvestment, we have certain communities in Louisville, too, that trees have never been invested in. And so they've never been there. They've never been taken care of. And so those are also communities that play a large role in our efforts because we want our trees to be equitable. We want everyone to be able to enjoy those benefits that it provides.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings me to this because I know Louisville's tree canopy reflects a history of redlining and inequality. So how has this shaped today's green spaces, and what's sort of being done or what's in the works to ensure tree equity?
Sure. So one of the biggest things that we're working on to ensure tree equity is the release of the Louisville Tree Plan. So equity played a large role in that. We had an equity council for it, so they would help us develop the goals and be voices for those who haven't been listened to for so many years. So how it's shaped today's spaces is previously redlined communities, they have a tree canopy coverage of only 20% on average, where those green line communities we see almost have 50%. And so our better parks are typically in those heavily green spaced areas. They're better, it's more walkable streets. So that's still seen today. And again, because of that, that's really the areas we are trying to focus on the most.
So you mentioned this tree plan. Can you talk to me more about that plan of action and what's involved?
So the Louisville Tree Plan is going to be our urban forest master plan. And the idea is that it's a 20-year plan looking into the future. What are the major goals of Louisville's urban forestry needs? So a big part of that was a lot of community outreach, going to different neighborhood associations, events all over town, and asking people, what problems do you have? Do you understand the laws of urban trees right now? What can be improved, et cetera? And so from that, gathering that information, and then from looking at other peer cities and what they're doing with their urban forestry, we actually created we're in the process of creating a list of goals and measures that should be taken so that we have a more equitable urban forest and that we're meeting the needs of all the different communities of Jefferson County.
Was there any surprising things you found or surprising solutions when looking at other cities and putting this into the tree plan?
Yeah, so Louisville has a very unique in terms of their street tree maintenance. So street trees are to be maintained by the homeowners and not by the city. And so that's something that you don't see super regularly. We're not the only city. It is out there. But seeing that there are a lot of cities roughly our size that are maintaining those trees. And that lack of maintenance really builds an inequity issue.
So what are some of the partners helping kind of make this happen and maintain these trees or contribute to these programs to get to our goal?
Yeah, so Parks and Recreation and Urban Forestry are a major partner. They plant along the streets and then the parkways. They have a goal of planting over 1,000 trees a year, focusing again in those lower canopy areas most. Other partners are any of our park systems. They're continuing to make sure that those trees are being planted. And then we have the other nonprofit, Louisville Grows, and they do some residential tree planting as well. But, a lot of it also just comes to homeowners and communities, like making sure people recognize that we need you to have trees in your yard, if we want to see trees really grow. And we also need you to replace large trees with large trees so that we don't lose those benefits. So, I think the Louisville community as a whole is a much bigger partner than they recognize we need them to be.
What about for renters? What can renters do to contribute to this?
For renters, it would be really just trying to speak with your landlord and encourage if they're going to be a long-term renter, maybe that landlord would allow them to plant a tree. It increases your property value.
Oh, yeah.
If it's a well-maintained tree. So if that renter is long-term and they're going to prune and water that tree, that's a good investment into the future.
Then my cheeky question for that is if the renter plants the tree, do they get the rebate?
If they paid for it, I don't see why not.
So with TreesLouisville, when you're looking at your plans and you're looking at the city, I know we've talked about different pieces of different areas that need tree canopy more. How do you decide where to plant trees?
So one, we try and focus on areas that have 20% or lower canopy. So that is a main priority. But then as an organization that focuses on large privately owned land, we're also looking for spaces that would be able to take 10 or more trees, right? So that's something else that we consider. We will partner with anyone. We are willing to be flexible and try new things. So there's nothing that we really haven't done. But in terms of focus, it's where's large pieces of land that could take, 10 to 80 trees. Is it low canopy? And then do we have folks that are invested from that space that want to be a tree champion, want to help care for those trees down the road? Those are all kind of things that we look into. So there's days where I'm just going on Google Maps and I'm looking for land and, calling up churches or schools and being like, are you interested? So it's just a lot of community back and forth to find where to plant.
That's quite a unique way. You can see where trees are now, which is pretty cool, pretty useful. Well, thank you, Morgan. We'll be back with more after the break. You're on track with Louisville Public Media. Welcome back to On Track. Ahead of Arbor Day, we are talking about the importance of our trees in our city and ways we can help grow our tree canopy in Louisville with Morgan Grubbs, the Programs Director of TreesLouisville. So increased tree canopy can improve air quality, water quality. It can even cool the city. What are some other advantages to a growing tree population that people might not be aware of?
Yeah, whenever people think of trees, they think of the environment, and that's very important. I obviously love the environment, but they don't recognize how ingrained nature is with humans. And so there's actually a lot of social benefits that people aren't aware of in terms of improving our mental health, reducing anxiety. We planted schools because it's been proven to help your ability to concentrate. There's been studies showing that if you're at a hospital and you're able to look out at trees, your healing time is faster, right? And then your mental health is better. You're out walking around, so less likely to have a stroke or cardiac disease, So there's a lot of human benefits. And then as a city, we know that the economy is important. And so knowing that planting trees, in those big walking ways where there's a lot of shops and things, you're more likely to hang out longer and spend more money at these locations should you have trees around. So those are other really good benefits to having trees.
Wow, now I'm going to be watching out for trees and my spending.
Yeah, well, think about it. When you go to a parking lot, and it's mid-July, what are the first parking spots always taken? It's always the ones under the tree, right? So, it's hot.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's very fascinating. So, we talked about incentives that, homeowners and things to like all these different incentives. So mental health benefits, economic benefits, climate benefits. What other incentives or things are going on this spring season?
Yeah, so we do have 3 tree giveaways happening this spring. One is going to be on March 29th at Alberta Jones Park as part of Earth Fest. The second one is going to be at the Stony Brook Kroger on April 5th. And then we have our very big event, Tree Fest, happening, which is our big Arbor Day celebration of the year. And of course, we have to give away free trees there, too. So that's a really good program happening this spring. And then, as I mentioned, Tree Fest, the best festival of the year, if I am biased a little.
I'm excited because, so this is the 4th annual Tree Fest. It's coming up. It's going to be held at Petersburg Park on Saturday, April 19th as this Arbor Day celebration, right? So at 4 years of doing this, can you tell us how this event came to be and what someone can expect if they plan to attend?
Yeah, so Louisville has been a Tree City USA recipient for, I think, over 20 years now. And so that is a nationally recognized award. And so as part of that award, you have to have some sort of Arbor Day celebration. And so the idea, we were talking with our partners at Parks and Rec. We wanted to do something to celebrate. And then we also realized, we can plant so many trees, but if we don't have people on board and understanding the importance of an urban forest, we're going to start having people who deny wanting trees or not understanding the work we're doing. So our big goal of this is to bring people in to appreciate trees, to understand their importance, to learn a little bit, have fun, and, meet some like-minded people.
Where does this award come from, this Tree City USA? Is that what it was?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It comes from the Arbor Day Foundation,
okay.
But it's also the Arbor Day Foundation works with each state. And so the Kentucky Division of Forestry will be the ones presenting it to us.
Very cool. Well, I kind of want to turn to government involvement. Do you know any policies? Are there any policies or ordinances that are currently in place to protect and expand Louisville's trees or new legislative efforts in the works to kind of support this initiative?
Yeah, so we do have a tree ordinance about maintaining your mature canopy. And so currently, if you are to develop land, you are supposed to maintain 20% of the mature canopy. So that is the big one that we have right now in terms of policy protection. But it is something we are realizing we need more of and we need better enforcement of because we're not always seeing that happen. Sometimes they'll take down more trees and just pay into a in lieu fee fund. But again, then when we go and replant, we're planting a much smaller tree, and canopy growth takes multiple years to get back to those places.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. Like, how does that policy, that ordinance, impact overall tree conservation? Do you think it's a reasonable and effective compromise for contributing to canopy growth?
I mean, I understand that we need development and, we have to be mindful of that kind of thing. I always think it could be better, but, I'm not in construction, so I guess I don't fully understand that. I do think there's more we could be done, and I think, moving away from just protecting mature trees, I think it's really important that we work to better care for mature trees. There's a lot of fear around trees. They're going to fall on my house. I don't want a big one too close. It's going to mess up things, etc. And if we take more time to maintain young trees, right? So pruning, proper watering, proper mulching, they're going to be healthy. They're a lot less likely to drop a limb or to just uproot themselves, right? So taking more measures, looking into policy that's going to better care for those trees, and then, ideally being able to help homeowners learn how to prune their young trees and care so they're not scared to put a larger tree in their yard.
Is there any other new legislative changes or efforts sort of in play right now that you're aware of that could contribute to tree canopy growth for better or for worse?
I mean, definitely the Louisville Tree Plan has some policy involvement in there. There is some policy change we'd like to see to better help grow our canopy. One would be urban forestry taking on more street tree maintenance. So that way all trees are treated equally and a professional knows how to do it. So that's probably the biggest one in the works. And then also through the Louisville Tree Plan, creating like a coalition to bring all the different tree planters and, developers, code and regulations, public works, all these people that are working to maintain our city. They need to know what's going on with each other's projects so that way a new sidewalk design isn't going to tear up all the trees that MSD just replaced for putting a pipe underground. And so working on creating better methods of communications through that is also something in the works.
Yeah, communications and kind of working together as a city to create this. But it sounds like 39%, right, is what you said is where we're at, which is, to me, sounds like a lot. But, I mean, how do you feel about it?
Well, we say if we take out our major park systems, we're in the 20s.
Right.
So I do think it's a good number, and I'm happy. I mean, Louisville's very lucky for our park systems in that we do have so many as refuges. The thing is, you visit certain neighborhoods and you just see the disinvestment. You see that they haven't been cared for, and they can't. It's hard. You mentioned renters. So if they're renting, why would they pay all that money to maintain a street tree or invest in planting a lot of trees on their property? Maybe they don't have the knowledge of how to care for trees. So I definitely think there's room for improvement, and I do think the education part plays a really big role in what we should be doing. One thing that a lot of Louisville doesn't realize or think about is trees are green infrastructure. They're not just an ornamental thing to brighten up your home. And as green infrastructure, it appreciates in value over year, meaning every year that tree gets bigger, we're seeing more benefits. And all we want to do, well, not all, but a lot of what we want to do is invest in these gray infrastructures. But gray infrastructures like roads and sidewalks, they depreciate, as soon as they're put on, now they're being affected. And so we want people to realize that, trees are very much linked to our community's health and to our city's health and well-being. We are seeing changes in climate and storms, and trees are proven to be one of the most efficient ways in a city to combat and become more resilient to climate change.
So for someone listening right now, what would be some resources or places they could go if they want to get more involved in maybe planting more trees or tree advocacy in the city?
Yeah, definitely go to our website, treeslouisville.org. We do have volunteer opportunities throughout the year. We do specific trainings. We host pruning workshops. We also have a number of brochures that you can take home about pruning, mature tree care, fruit trees. The city, Parks and Rec, and Urban Forestry, if you're wanting to, plant or maintain trees on your street, going to them, you can see the different standards, the approved tree lists, etc. If you need any sort of tree maintenance done at your house and are looking for a good arborist to call, we do have a list of certified arborists that are within the city that we trust as well. So, yeah, that would be a good place to start.
And then what's one impactful way an individual can help grow and protect Louisville's tree canopy?
Plant a tree.
Yeah, that was an obvious one.
Yeah. Plant a tree, but also take the time to learn how to care for the tree. Watering. Lack of water is the number one killer of urban trees. And then you want to take a guess what number 2 might be?
Oh, man. I have lots of thoughts in my head about that.
Lawn equipment.
Okay.
So hitting your tree with a weed eater or a lawn mower, any nick that it gets, right, it's affecting its ability to move nutrients up and down. It's opening up wounds for disease. So, it's one thing to plant a tree. It's another thing to see a tree reach 50 to 100 years. So learning how you can maintain, because the earlier you start, the less work it is down the road, and just the easier, the less equipment you need, etc.
Morgan, thank you so much for being here on Track.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Morgan Grubbs is the Programs Director of TreesLouisville, a nonprofit dedicated to preserving and expanding local and regional tree canopy through civic engagement, education, and public awareness. Morgan is an ISA-certified arborist and an expert in tree health and urban forestry. On Track is a production of Louisville Public Media. The On Track production team includes Michelle Tyreen Johnson, Jacob Munoz, Alex Biscardi, and Laura Ellis. If you're just tuning in and you want to hear the full show, you can find it now at LouisvilleOnTrack.org or in your favorite podcast app. And let's continue the conversation. Is there something you want to hear about? Something that matters to your Kentuckiana experience? Let us know by sending us a text or giving us a call at 502-814-TALK or send an email to ontrack@lpm.org. I'm Aisha Jaffer, and remember, when you plant a tree, clean air is free. Until next time, you're on track with Louisville Public Media.